I think it's clear that something is distinctly awry at Manchester United from top to bottom. But even I couldn't imagine that they would dispense with a sporting director 5 months after hiring. In fact, they spent longer getting him out of Newcastle than he was in his seat at Old Trafford. This says everything really about a haphazard approach to things, that people aren't really sure what their roles are. Dan Ashworth has had his name emblazoned on every statement from the club over the last few months, from the decision to keep Eric Ten Hag, that was a good one, to all the signings. They've been good ones as well. And suddenly now he's the one who's taking responsibility, and it appears the blame for what surely is a series of club misadventures. So for me, it's an easy decision to make if you don't want to take any responsibility for what's happened on your watch. But it also puts a huge question mark over the decision making at the very top of the club. It was Brailsford and Ratcliffe who chose to get Ashworth, who talked about him being one of the best sporting directors in the world, who made such a song and dance and pursuit of getting their man. All the stuff with the gardening leave at Newcastle, with Newcastle threatening to demand 20 million, I think they got a lot less than that, for his services. You go through all of that to then dump him in 5 months. It doesn't make sense, does it? First of all, you think that there's a lot of blame shifting going on, that no one wants to actually say it was no, that was my decision. They want to point fingers. But also we had a cast list, a revolving cast list at the top of United. You know, Berrada's coming from City, Ashworth is in, people are going. It's like the hokey cokey, isn't it? In, out, in, out. No one seems to know where they're going to sit when the music stops. And suddenly Ashworth has found that he hasn't got a seat to sit on. I just think that there's something significantly awry. And that comes down to the people at the very top of the club. They are not doing their job, but it filters all the way through. Amorim has been handed this squad to work with. And what has been abundantly clear this week against Arsenal and now Forest is that this squad is not fit for purpose. We know that Amorim wants to play with a back three. He hasn't got the personnel to play with a back three. So they're going to have to do some significant recruitment in January. Now, some of that's injuries. I mean, he hasn't had a left back who's been fit at all. Shaw came back and then got injured. Malassia's not, until very recently, not kicked a ball for 18 months or so. We've had all of these issues. But the whole thing appears to be a spectacular mess. And at a time when this season there's opportunity for United functioning to do quite well, because we know and we've seen that City are in a degree of turmoil. Spurs are not what they wanted to be. Chelsea are in overhaul and doing really well. But United could have been really pushing for the top 2 or 3 this season if they got their recruitment in the summer right. But they didn't. Amorim's only task has been, you assume, trying to ship the squad in some sort of position, try to turn them into what he wants to be. But maybe he's had a word about, hang on, you're giving me this squad, knowing the sort of football I play. What's that all about? Now, with some of the players that were brought in, Ugarte, 55 million, Crikey, Xerxes, 40 million, Delicht for a lot of money. I mean, we can't judge Euro. He's played 2 games, he's hardly had a kick, and there's obviously a lot of potential there. But some of the others it seemed to be short-term fixes for a club that needed long-term solutions. And they didn't even work in the short term. The sticking plaster fell off before they'd barely been applied. And then you have the issue. So you're buying players, I assume, for Ten Hag, who is on difficult terrain because of the way things have gone. Then you have to sack Ten Hag because, surprise, surprise, the terrain's even more difficult than you thought it was. And then you bring in a manager who's got a completely different approach to the game. No wonder no one knows what's going on. I mean, I think it's a bonkers scenario. Manchester United should be better than this from top to bottom, and they're not. And Ashworth has become the fall guy this week, and he'll be quite well remunerated for it, and it won't harm him getting another job, I'm sure. And who knows, he'll be popping up before we know it. But now they've got to go and get another sporting director, who that will be, we don't know, who may align with Amorim. The obvious choice for that is already being lined up to replace Big E Stein at City, Vaiana, because they work together at Sporting. So one assumes that's not going to happen. Although you never know. I mean, money can talk, but there needs to be some joined up thinking across the club. At the same time, the fans who wanted to believe that Ratcliffe was going to be the antidote to all the Glazer years are starting to ask if he's Glazer with a Lancashire accent. You know, the extra season ticket seat ticket prices up to £66 caused a lot of anger amongst fans. The culling of staff has caused resentment internally. The continuing state of Old Trafford being simply not good enough, you know, as a ground. While they're talking about the rebuild, all of these things, you start to think, crikey, is it actually got any better? And I'm not sure it has. What we've got is Ratcliffe giving everything to control-wise to the people below him, started with Dave Brailsford. He thinks his way of running a company is that, yeah, he's the boss, but you have capable lieutenants who are going to run large parts of it for you, because he's got all these other elements that he's got to look after, all these other industries. So he can't spend full time on Manchester United. But they have got to align rather than maybe creating little fiefdoms within the organisation. I think that's one of the problems, that from the outside, and I might be entirely wrong, is that no one seems to quite know whose responsibilities lie where. And unless you've got that chain of command, unless you've got a certainty, unless you've got a structure that can deliver, you're not going to deliver. Now, maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's just that Ashworth didn't fit into it. But everyone's signed off on everything so far. Everyone's put their hands up and claimed it's all going great. They all, we'll own this one until it goes wrong, and then no one wants to own it. And that's the problem, I think, at United. But it's clear that fans have become alienated over a few months, and it's clear that performances haven't improved in the short term. It makes it tough. You know, people are going to listen less willingly if they don't believe the message, and a lot of the fans are starting to doubt the message from the top.